Welcome to the Sunday morning worship of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church in Naperville, Illinois. I'm Kelly Trombley-Freitag, a member of your Board of Trustees. We are so glad you are here, whether you are present in the sanctuary this morning or watching remotely. It is so good to be together. We welcome you to our church and invite you to get to know us better after the service. To keep us all safe as possible, we ask that you remain masked. Those of us on the chancel will remove our masks so we get to speak from the microphone. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold that there are many paths to truth and meaning, and we support one another on our spiritual and religious journeys while holding ourselves in covenant. The rich liberal legacy of Unitarian Universalism is rooted in our faith's 7 principles. These principles guide our faithful actions as we work to transform the world to be more just and equitable. You may find these principles listed on our website and in the hall and on the wall in our social hall. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your life's journey, wherever you are in the world, you are welcome here. I invite you to turn to someone you did not come in with and greet them with a wave and a Sunday morning greeting.
I light this chalice for the first source of living tradition that draws from direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit, which openness to the forces which create and uphold life.
Good morning. Our call to worship is I Want to Be with People by Dana Worsnop. Often people say that they love coming to a place with so many like-minded people. I know just what they're getting at, and I know they aren't getting it quite right. I don't want to be with a bunch of people who think just like me. I want to be in a beloved community where I don't have to think like everyone else to be loved, to be eligible for salvation. I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, and truth, though they have different thoughts and opinions on all sorts of things. I want to be with independent-minded people of good heart. I want to be with people who have many names and no name at all for God. I want to be with people who see me in goodness and dignity, who also see my failings and foibles, and who still love me. I want to be with people who feel their interconnection with all of existence and let it guide their footfalls upon the earth. I want to be with people who see life as a paradox and don't rush to resolve it. I want to be with people who let church call them into a different way of being in the world. I want to be with people who support, encourage, and even challenge each other to higher and more ethical living. I want to be with people who inspire one another to follow the call of the Spirit. I want to be with people who give of themselves, who share their hearts and minds and gifts. I want to be with people who know that human community is often warm and generous, sometimes challenging, and almost always a grand adventure. In short, I want to be with people like you. Please join me in singing hymn number 360, Here We Have Gathered.
Please join me in reading our covenant. We come together to affirm our relationship with one another, our shared commitment to our Unitarian Universalist principles, and to our DuPage UU Church community. We recognize our agency and our connective power, and we accept our responsibility to be bold relationship with each other, that we transform ourselves and the world.
Our vision of beloved community is rooted in the relationships that we have with each other here in this room and on our live feed, and with creation. Each week we share our joys and concerns. Our flowers today, right below me here, are given by Lindy Spreetsma in celebration of Sa Ni's Fiesta Croquet Auction Party. Joy of Gratitude from Brooke Donaldson. Thank you so very much to all of DuPage UU Church for your hospitality while attending our dear friend's ordination and installation. But special gratitude is given to Karen Hutt and Steve Tewald, who offered their beautiful home for myself, Candace, and Sheba, the seeing eye dog, to comfortably spend the weekend. We had an incredible time hearing about your congregation and talking about ours with both Steve and Karen. We were treated to wonderful hospitality and Steve's amazing squash pie. As an indication of how much we loved their company, all four of us stayed up every night past 11 p.m. chatting. Not something that is common for any of us. We give 5 stars to the Karen and Steve Bed and Breakfast, who made it possible for us to attend this ceremony. I'm sure we'll be back. Thank you kindly. This evening begins the celebration of Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. To all who celebrate, may your new year be sweetly blessed. Lastly, I have a sorrow from Janice Moretti. Our hearts are with you. Last Sunday night, her younger brother died in his sleep. So much love to you and your family. As we hold each other in our hearts and minds with all of our joys and sorrows, whether spoken or unspoken, please join together in a moment of meditative prayer. Spirit of light and love, like every week, we gather here to strengthen our bonds of love. United in our desire to create a world that is better for all, we hold tightly to each other in moments of hardship and celebrate in joy with one another. As we enact what beloved community might be, may we remember that who we journey with and how we journey together is more important than any outcome. May the light of love guide us on this path. Amen.
It is time to gather. Today, I would like for all the young and young at heart to remain in their seats with the people that they came into church with. After our time to gather, we will sing a song, and the teachers will lead the children and youth to their classes. Our theme this month is belonging, and this lesson reflects on the importance of traveling the path of interconnection. As you use our 7th principle and our 6th source, remind us that we are interconnected with and belong to each other. Those principles also remind us that we belong to the universe and this beautiful blue ball called Earth that floats within the universe. This is one of the most important paths we can travel, the path of remembering that we belong to the world around us rather than it belonging to us. My story today is All I See Is Part of Me by Shara M. Curtis and illustrated by Cynthia Aldrich. I am part of all I see, and all I see is part of me. I am my hands, I am my feet, I am the puppy across the street. I am the moon, I am the stars. I'm even found in candy bars. I used to think that I was small, a little body, that was all. But then one day I asked the sun, "Who are you?" He beamed, "We are one." "But Mr. Sun, how is this true? Am I not me? Are you not you?" And he smiled. "You might ask Sister Star. She too is part of who you are." And so I waited till the night when darkness let me see her light. "Sister Star, how can it be that I am you and you are me?" And she glowed. "You're larger than you know. You're every place there is to go. You have a body, this is true, but look at what is inside of you." And I closed my eyes to see within, and I saw a light. It made me grin. It reminded me of Sister Star, and she said, "That light is who you are. Your body is just a little part of the light that shines within your heart." In all the world, in all of space, your light shines bright. It's every place. And when you join its dot to dot, you'll see that you are what you've got. All the plants, the animals, and trees are in your light, and you are these. Look inside each one you meet and see your light. It's so complete. Inside, outside, below, above, see your light and feel its love. You're asking when you ask me because we're one. Don't you agree? I looked again at all my light and saw that Sister Star was right. For every question, there can be an answer that waits inside of me. And then I said, there's even more. Each question opens up a door, and every door that I walk through leads to a part of me that's new. Thank you so much, Sister Star. I love the part of me you are. And I wondered as I climbed in bed, does all of me sleep when I rest my head? And then a voice called through the night, "Oh, you precious child of light, even when you sleep, you are awake in every shining star." And I snuggled with my teddy bear, and in his light, I saw me there. You are me, and I am you. You love me, and I love you too. I closed my eyes and found my light dancing with moonbeams in the night. I said a prayer, and I know it was heard because all I am hears every word. And I can see in all of me that there can be no end. Let's sing to the children as they leave for class.
Giving of our treasure is how we reciprocate the many gifts we have been given by this community. Your contribution supports the programs and operations of DuPage UU Church. Giving is also how we live our values in this world. Each month, we share our offerings with an organization nominated by the congregation and selected by the special offering team. This month's organization is the Alive Center of Naperville. Their mission is to be a teen-led, teen-driven center focused on empowering the youth of today to become the impassioned, resilient leaders of tomorrow. This morning's offering to support the work of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church and the Alive Center of Naperville is given and received in a spirit of generosity and gratitude. The reading today is by James Luther Adams. I call that church free, which enters into covenant with the ultimate source of existence, that sustaining and transforming power not made with human hands. It binds together families and generations, protecting against the idolatry of any human claim to absolute truth or authority. This covenant is the charter and responsibility and joy of worship in the face of death as well as life. I call that church free, which brings individuals into a caring, trusting fellowship that protects and nurtures their integrity and spiritual freedom, that yearns to belong to the church universal. It is open to insight and conscience from every source. It bursts through rigid tradition, giving rise to new and living language, to new and broader fellowship. It is a pilgrim church, a servant church, on an adventure of the Spirit. The goal is the prophethood and priesthood of all believers, one for the liberty of prophesying, the other for the ministry of healing. It aims to find unity in diversity under the promptings of the Spirit that bloweth where it listeth and maketh all things new. Please rise in body or spirit and join in hymn number 121, We'll Build a Land.
Beloved community. Unitarian Universalist communities use this phrase so very often, usually aspirationally, as if the phrase is interchangeable with heaven, something that will be reached someday, somehow. Sometimes it's spoken about in terms of a failure of covenant or within a community, such as when a break of covenant or harm happens. Often it's quoted with attribution given to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who used the imagery often as he educated and advanced civil rights. The idea of beloved community, I believe, is appealing to Unitarian Universalists because it seems like an ideal we can work for, and maybe, possibly even achieve. The problem is, many of us are unsure of what we're working for. We use the phrase without really defining it, and when we don't have a shared understanding of a goal, it makes it really difficult to express common expectations and dreams. And so instead, the beloved community becomes this amorphous thing that we think we want, but we aren't really sure how to get there or what it really is. So what do we mean when we say beloved community? Contrary to popular belief, the beloved community is actually a concept that was crafted by the American philosopher Josiah Royce, whom I have no doubt Martin Luther King Jr. read while at Harvard as a divinity student. You can find Royce's thoughts on the topic in his 460-page book entitled The Problem of Christianity. It's not a particularly fascinating read, in my opinion, and I have some critiques. Nevertheless, his definition of beloved community is important because it creates a shared definition that can help us move forward together. A definition that allows beloved community to become something more than aspirational, but potentially something real. Let's imagine an ecosystem, something like a prairie, kind of like the prairie outside of our windows. Now, a prairie is not a monoculture. It has a diverse array of species that are in constant negotiation about space, light, food, and water. The asters and goldenrods are competing at the moment. Community, whether it is in nature, like a prairie, or in human community, is a constant negotiation between the diversity of its residents. This negotiation with each other helps us to make meaning of our lives. It especially helps us to make meaning through our differences. We interact with each other, process the interaction, and then make meaning of our lives through those negotiations and interactions. Those negotiations and interactions help us to better understand each other and what drives us forward. Our meaning making reveals what is good for me and for you. That is, what is good for the prairie plants is good for the animals that live in relationship to the plants, and vice versa. Our meaning-making and negotiating reveals how we might correct wrongs between us, and eventually it helps us establish shared goals towards working for our entire community. In a prairie, or any ecosystem really, this meaning-making and negotiation between species, or even different plants of the same species, is about how to best create a balanced environment that seeks the common good that we have agreed upon. It's here, within the common good, that we find the beloved part of beloved community. There are many, many forms of community. The beloved community is only found within the church. This is because we believe that the common good is that which is good for everyone, not just what is acceptable for the majority. In contrast, our governmental systems are there to create the minimal level of acceptable living, not taking into account or negotiating our differences. Beloved community is community that can translate between the most extreme differences and still find the common good shared between each person, because there is a shared understanding that we are committed to and need one another no matter what. Our churches know that the common good is really about seeing our interconnectedness and knowing that we need one another. This means that beloved community found within our churches is sometimes at odds with our larger culture and governmental ideas of community. That's especially true here in America, where rugged individualism has pervaded every aspect of our society. In our churches, sometimes we also find that individualism sneaking in. But individualism is not how community works. Moreover, beloved community asks us to set aside our personal desires and comfort when others are unable to experience the common good. That is a radically different understanding of community than what we are used to as Americans. This also challenges the assumptions that we may have of our own Unitarian Universalist communities, such as the idea that you can believe whatever you want, rather than seeing that our beliefs call us to honor our principles, which focus on the collective rather than the individual. And it means that we have to identify the threats to the common good, which may be a result of this individualism, and some threats which we may have actually introduced into the community or participated in ourselves. We can simply walk through the prairie in our own backyard to see the damage that invasive species can do to an ecosystem, to the common good. Our prairie has some sections that have been completely overgrown by bindweed, which disrupts the balance, the common good, for all of the plants. Some of the threats that community experiences are easy to point out. Some are more subtle. Bindweed is really obvious. Red clover blends in a little bit better. In a human community, anyone can spot a KKK hood. But it takes a little bit more nuance to see that Band-Aids typically only come in one shade that prefers only one skin tone, enforcing racism. Some threats we thought we liked and put into the ecosystem intentionally, like adding bush honeysuckle because it was pretty. Or the original version of our Unitarian Universalist principles, which uses the word man, such as the inherent worth and dignity of all mankind rather than all people. What this means for our beloved community is that we have to fight off things that detract from the balance and the good for all. Just because a coneflower in the middle of the prairie is not affected by the weed on the outside does not mean that it can ignore the threat. The balance of all plants is threatened. Our balance is disrupted when a threat to the common good appears. This means that the beloved community, in its relationality, seeks to fight off anything that threatens the common good, whether it directly affects me or not. This is what Martin Luther King Jr. speaks of when he says that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. But this also means something else. This means that beloved community is constantly changing. This means that our Unitarian Universalist communities are constantly changing. We change when we rid ourselves of the threats to our community. We change when we interact with one another. We also change when we invite new things into the system. Take that lovely little plant called plantain. Indigenous peoples call it white man's footprint because it seemed that wherever white Europeans stepped, it would appear. It's definitely invasive. You can find it all over, in the cracks in the sidewalk, in the prairie, in the forest. But unlike other invasive plants, it actually doesn't do harm to the ecosystem. And even more so, it has medicinal properties that rival Western medicine. I make a salve out of it that heals cuts and scrapes and bruises and bug bites and burns. Ecosystems all over have adapted to this little plant that causes so little trouble and offers to be part of the common good. We have been changed by this little plant, but in a way that benefits the system. So what then is beloved community? It is an ever-changing community of people in relationship to each other and the planet in search of the common good for all. This makes me wonder if we can ever actually reach that ideal. And I think we can. At least I think we can reach for what we are stretching for right now, knowing that when we get there, there's going to be even more for us to reach, that we'll never stop reaching for ourselves, for our future that just went to their classrooms, because we all care about how creation lives on this planet. We will always be reaching. Now, that was a very long explanation of Royce's 460 pages. And there's something that he misses. What he doesn't write of, which I think is important, is that there are actually multiple beloved communities, each needing the other, working to find the good for all of creation. The forest needs the prairie, which needs the marsh, which needs the ocean. Together, we are a collective beloved community working towards harmony for all beloved communities. Our beloved community as Unitarian Universalists is framed for us in our principles. We already have the building blocks before us. Take our first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Boy, do I still struggle with this one. And I bet I'm not alone. But each day, I am reminded that I have to continue to struggle with that principle, not just when I'm here with you all at church, but also when I'm in line in the grocery store, or when somebody cuts me off in traffic. I have to enact this principle, every moment I can, because the community that I belong to and have agreed to be a part of has declared that these principles are the way that we can reach the common good for all people. And I want to be part of this community. The beloved community is a living, breathing, shifting dream that depends on how I live in the world, that depends on how you live in the world. This makes our principles more than just some beautiful sentiment that we admire. It makes our principles the real moments of our living in the world. Our principles give us parameters of the common good and how to enact that common good in the world. Our principles are verbs, a way of enacting beloved community into being. When we collectively work towards fulfilling them in our lives and in the goals we set as a community, we take one more step towards building the beloved community. Let us move beloved community from its pedestal of aspiration to that which we strive every day to embody in all that we do together. Please join me in singing hymn 1028, Fire of Commitment. As we leave this place, I'd like to share with you words from Reverend Andrea Hawkins Camper. Blessed are we who gather with open hearts together. Blessed are we, the chalice lighters of resistance, justice, love, and faith. Blessed are we, the heretics, the outcasts, the walkers of our own way. Blessed are we, the border crossers, the refugees, the immigrants, the poor, the wanderers who are not lost. Blessed are we, the transgressors, the trespassers, the passers-by, the cause takers, the defiant, the compliant. Blessed are we, the hand extenders, the sign makers, the protesters, the protectors. Blessed are we, the trans women, the trans men, the non-binary, the cisgender, the multigender, the no gender. Blessed are we, the friend, the stranger, the lonely, the hidden, the visible, the authentic. Blessed are we who rise in solidarity. Blessed are we who cannot. Blessed are we who do not. Blessed are we, for this is beloved community, and this is who we are. May it be so.
Please join me in the words we use to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish the light of this chalice, but not the light in